Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. It's very pleasure indeed for me to be able to attend this meeting. My name is Zhao Yingying. I'm a current graduate student in ECNU in Shanghai, China. Since it's not 3 a.m. in Shanghai and my roommates are sleeping, please allow me to record a video to introduce this paper. Today, I would like to present my paper, Visual Design of Collaborative Learning Process. As is shown in the picture, the main parts of my research are about collaborative learning. Next, I will present this paper in these 5 parts. First, some background information about this research. Second, existing research on collaborative learning and visualization techniques. Third, the main work we have done and the visualization tool application model constructed in this paper. Part 4 will show a case study of the application of the model, and the last, some conclusions we have got. Why I choose this item, I think it can be illustrated from the following 3 parts. First, the role of visualization in the collaborative learning process. Visualization is a way to concretize and display the abstract process by using computer processing technology to process and analyze the data generated by group members in the collaborative learning process and present it vividly and visually. In collaborative learning-related research, visualization technology is a very important tool, which can help researchers better understand students' learning process and knowledge mastery, and let learners know their collaboration and learning behavior in real time to make timely adjustments. Second, the visualization application facing the collaborative learning process is facing new challenges. At present, there are few studies in this area. Visualization tools are uneven, and there is no clear classification standard or unity among various visualization methods, which impacts the application of visualization technology in collaborative learning to some extent. Third, the analysis of collaborative learning processes has been given particular attention by researchers. Since the 1980s, learning theories such as cognitivism began to emerge and develop, driving the proposal and the development of various instructional strategies. These strategies go beyond individual-based learning analysis, but explore group learning from the perspective of the collective and greatly promote the development of collaborative learning. The research question of this study is the visual design of the collaborative learning process. The main keywords involved in this study are collaborative learning mode, the application of the visualization technology in education, and the visualization tools. Depending on the learning environment, research on the collaborative learning process can be divided into traditional collaborative learning, online collaborative learning, and blended collaborative learning. Traditional collaborative learning is an activity in which students work in small groups in a traditional setting. However, it has led to many disadvantages. The online collaborative learning has the following characteristics. First, group collaboration is autonomous. Second, it is indirect in the nature. Third, it is interactive. Blended collaborative learning, on the other hand, combines the advantages of traditional and online learning to compensate for each other's disadvantages, thus improving the overall collaborative efficiency and teaching effectiveness. In the field of education, various teaching platforms and educational software have emerged, and with them, a huge amount of educational data has been generated. So, how to deal with this complex and confusing educational data has become an urgent problem, which can be solved by visualization technology. Integrating multiple aspects of the application of visualization technology in education. The application can be divided into student-oriented application, teacher-oriented application, education administrator-oriented application, and platform developer-oriented application from the perspective of the user. In these applications, the visualization techniques involved many different teaching needs, are suitable for different teaching contexts, and each has different characteristics in the means. So therefore, to choose a suitable technology for a certain collaborative learning process, we need to analyze and understand the current visualization technologies. Some researchers think it can be divided into collaborative learning and classifying techniques into visualization technology for non-verbal information and for verbal information. Regarding the research method of this study, it was divided into 3 phases. In the first and the second phases, the literature analysis method was used to summarize the types of collaborative learning process visualization methods and to design a model for the application of visualization tools. In the third phase, a case study was conducted using the case study method and the questionnaire method. Through the keywords collaboration, collaborative learning, and visualization, this study reviewed a large amount of domestic and international literature focusing on the collaborative learning process, summarized the 3 dimensions of visualization, and analyzed the utility of this visualization and the types of collaboration. First, the sources of visualization data. The data generated in the collaborative learning process are diverse, and with reference to existing studies, the data can be classified as face-to-face communication of data, online communication of data, horizontal scale, self-report, and multimodal data. Second, the analysis method of visualization methods. The selection of analysis methods is based on the visualization presentation needs to adopt a suitable way to process and analyze the data for later visualization presentation. By categorizing and summarizing, the author divided the visualization analysis methods into 5 categories, namely descriptive statistics, social network analysis, behavioral sequence analysis, regression analysis, and cluster analysis. Finally, the presentation of collaborative visualization. The first stage of data collection and processing analysis is to process the data generated in the collaborative learning process into a uniform form. The appropriate presentation method is to visualize the processed data and present the effective data in a reasonable way with appropriate images. After analyzing and summarizing the visualization methods that have been applied in the collaborative learning process at home and abroad, we summarize the presentation method into 5 types, which are 2-dimensional table, radar map, interaction diagram, curve diagram, and scatter diagram. Referring to a mixed-mode CMC analysis framework proposed by Chen Xiangdong, this study attempts to integrate multiple dimensions of visualization approaches and proposed a model for the application of visualization tools, which can accurately select the most appropriate visualization approach for a particular collaborative learning classroom. In this model, the left size area represents the 3 dimensions of visualization, focusing on how to collect data, how to analyze data, and how to present data, respectively. Among them, the data source reflects the data in various forms. The analysis method reflects the analysis focus. The presentation reflects the visual effect of the image, and the visualization requirements provide the demand basis for the previous three. These dimensions affect each other and interact with each other, so they should not be analyzed separately, but rather in a model for analysis and application. The right side area represents the specific logical operations of the analysis visualization approach. Determining visualization requirements focus on what to visualize, and what type of collaborative process to present. It is important to first determine the focus of the collaborative activities and then determine the sources, analysis methods, and the presentation of the data at a later stage. The framework for the application of the model in specific cases is proposed in this study. Based on the designed model for the application of visualization tools for collaborative learning processes, the model is used to select the most appropriate visualization for a particular collaborative learning activity and to create a visualization of the collaborative process. To further illustrate the application of the above visualization application model, this study will illustrate how to select the appropriate visualization for the collaborative learning process based on the model, taking a specialized course as an example. The course content focused on teaching professional skills as well as teaching practice. This case will be illustrated with the last task. The task requires students to complete group lesson planning, collaborate on lesson plans in a mix of face-to-face communication and online collaboration, use the micro-teaching classroom to simulate lessons, and finally complete an intergroup communication presentation in this classroom. The model application contains 5 parts. First, the type of collaborative learning activity to be conducted was determined. Next, determine the utility of the visualization. Third, data resources are identified. Fourth, determine the method of analysis. Finally, the presentation method needs to be determined. In this case, through the application of the model, the final presentation is shown in the figure. This is the interaction diagram, participation diagram, social diagram. To evaluate the effectiveness of the model, this study used case evaluation and a questionnaire to evaluate and analyze the model so that we can find the shortcomings of the model and provide the basis for later improvements and application. In the post-intervention instructional flow diagram, the behaviors of both the teacher and the learners changed in the post and in-class phases. The right part of the diagram indicates the behaviors that have changed compared to those before the model was applied. Overall, it can be found that the application of model intervened in the overall teaching process of this case, which had an impact on the behavior of the students as well as the teacher. After the intervention, the learners noticed that their collaborative behavior, emotional changes, and interactions with others during the collaborative process, and the teacher began to notice the learners' collaboration in the collaborative process. Therefore, it can be concluded that the visual tool application model designed in this study have played a role in the development of collaborative learning activities, aided teachers' teaching and contributed to students' collaborative performance. In this study, a questionnaire was used to aid in the evaluation of the model. The questionnaire consists of two main parts, one for the evaluation of the visualization approach and the other for the evaluation of the entirety of the visualization. The following conclusions can be drawn from the data analysis. First, the visualization chosen for the application model conveys information clearly and understandably. Second, the visualization chosen for this model helps students to clearly understand the problem and reflect on it. Third, the presentation chosen for the model is reasonable and helps improve students' collaboration. Finally, comparing individual collaboration with other members of the group has a better effect on promoting learners' collaborative learning. Finally, I would like to make a conclusion with this presentation. First, it mainly investigates the application of visualization techniques in the collaborative learning process and summarizes the representation of visualization approaches oriented to the collaborative learning process to help teachers as well as researchers to better understand visualization techniques. Second, a visualization tool application model for the collaborative learning process is proposed and designed to provide teachers and researchers with guidance on the selection of visualization methods. Third, the validity of the model has tested using the case. However, this study has not examined enough aspects of the reliability and validity of the applied, which still has many shortcomings. First, in the summary, the data resources for the different visualizations were chosen by the researcher based on personal experience, so the accuracy of the visualization could not be determined. In addition, the questionnaire was not distributed to teachers to find out the usage. Therefore, there is some subjectivity in judging the value of the model's use, which still has a lot of room for improvement. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure to give you my viewpoints on visual design of collaborative learning process. Thank you very much for your kind attention.